Welcome to the World History 1 lecture series. At the end of each slide there will be a 10-second delay. Use this time to pause the presentation and complete your notes. When you are done, push play and you will move forward. This lecture will begin in 5 seconds.
Welcome to World History 1 Lecture 7.3 on the legacy of the Byzantine Empire, and once again we're going to talk about Arnold. We need to figure out what is his legacy. Well, before we can do that, we have to define the term legacy. Legacy is something that happened in the past or that comes from someone in the past. Well, Arnold has 3 different legacies. He has the Muscle Man, Mr. Universe legacy. He has the Terminator, Commando, Conan the Barbarian twins in every other movie he's ever acted in legacy. And then he has his legacy as the Governor, as a politician. So, how will we remember Arnold? These are the ways we will remember Arnold. Now the question becomes, how will we remember the Byzantine Empire? With that said, let's go to the next slide. There are moments in history with cool names, and then there's this moment in history with perhaps the coolest name ever, the Great Schism. Here's what happens. As the Roman Empire collapses, people in the East, Byzantine, begin to think differently than people in the West. And one of the things they're thinking differently about is Christianity. This is going to be a problem. Church leaders in Rome try to keep the church unified, but it is too hard. One of the major issues is simply geography. There's too much area to try and control religiously. Cultural and political differences between the East and the West further weaken church unity, and it finally splits in two. The split is known as the Great Schism, or Church Schism, of 1054 CE. So now we have the Roman Catholic Church in the West and the Greek Orthodox Church in the East. Two churches with people worshiping the same religion, but both churches view Christianity differently. Go to the next slide. So why does the church split in two? Well, there are 3 reasons why, and by looking at these reasons, we can see just how different the Roman Catholic Church is from the Greek Orthodox Church. The first reason is different beliefs. Orthodox services use Greek instead of Latin. There are also different holy days. Christmas is celebrated as the holiest day in the Roman Catholic Church. Easter is celebrated as the holiest day in Orthodox Christianity. Further, we have the use of religious images or icons in the Orthodox Church. Then there is celibacy. Western religious officials are celibate. And finally, there's a basic religious difference regarding the workings of God. Roman Catholics think that God works in one way, and Orthodox Christians think that God works in a completely different way. Second, we have differences in authority. The Pope leads the Roman Church. Patriarchs lead the Orthodox Church. And what's really important is this: Byzantine emperors do not accept the Pope as a religious leader. They reject the Pope in Rome as someone who can lead Christians in the Byzantine Empire. Finally, there's differences in location. Constantinople was the center of Christian orthodoxy, and the Roman Catholic Church was centered in Rome. Go to the next slide. The easiest way to see the differences between these two churches is to look at their modern leaders. On the left, we have Pope Francis. He is the ultimate leader of all Roman Catholics everywhere. On the right, we have Russian Orthodox Patriarch Kirill. He is the spiritual leader of Russian Orthodox Christians. But he might not be the ultimate leader of the Orthodox Church. Here's what I mean. Byzantine and Russian churches are controlled by emperors, whereas the Pope is in sole control of the Roman Catholic Church. Byzantine emperors have a say in how the Byzantine Church operates. No one controls the Roman Catholic Church. That's the sole job of the Pope. Also, the Orthodox Church spreads to Russia, and there is a lack of contact with Western culture in Russia and Eastern Europe. What does that mean? Well, the church spreads to a part of the world where it no longer has contact with other parts of the Roman Catholic Church. So this Orthodox Church is going to develop differently. And finally, the Greek language separates Byzantium from Latin-speaking Western countries where we find the Roman Catholic Church. In other words, the differences between the East and the West can be traced directly to what language you are speaking in your church. Go to the next slide. Speaking of the Russians, let's see how these guys fit into the picture. It all starts when Prince Oleg of Russia first visits Constantinople in 907 CE. And this single visit will change the course of world history. It's all about trade. The Byzantine Empire influences Russian religion and culture through trade between the Black Sea and the Aegean Sea. Here's Constantinople, here is where we find modern-day Russia, and we have cultural diffusion running along that purple trade route. But as you move from one part of the world to the other, you run into an issue with language. As the church moves into Russia, Saint Cyril adopts the Greek alphabet, which is what's being spoken in Byzantine, to Slavic language, which is what's being spoken in Russia, and creates the Cyrillic alphabet. Now, Russians can understand the Orthodox Church teachings that were written in Greek, and the church eases into this part of the world. We have some other changes as well. Church architecture changes to include onion domes like those on St. Basil's. If you see a church like this, you know almost immediately that you're looking at a Russian Orthodox church. And Russia adopts Orthodox Christianity, including religious art, mosaics, and icons. Russia is an Orthodox Christian nation. Western Europe is a Roman Catholic enclave. Go to the next slide. The Byzantine Empire lasts a lot longer than the Western Roman Empire, but it will suffer a similar fate. The Byzantine Empire declines after Justinian dies because there is no good leader to replace him. And now we're going to see that history repeating itself is history's oldest story. Here we go. The empire loses territory from 700 CE. Costly wars weaken the empire. Constantinople is sacked or looted by Christian crusaders in 1204 CE, and then it's retaken. But finally, the Ottoman Turks, who are Islamic, invade the empire beginning in 1329 CE. Here's how it all ends. Constantinople finally falls to Mehmed II, who's an Ottoman sultan, after being defended by joint Roman Catholic and Orthodox Christian forces. At the very end, both churches come back together to try to save Constantinople. But now we're at the world's end. We have finally fallen to the lowest part of World History 1. So just how bad will it get? Thank you for watching this lecture, and I look forward to seeing you in class.